But I've got some stuff that I wanted to go over today because I opened up my Twitter and it's ridiculous, some of the things, especially after the fact of, we just had the pew-pewing on the 26th, right before Thanksgiving, to one of our own National Guardsmen, and the same people that are basically screaming out that they shouldn't have been there. Fucking loud fucking fart noise, honestly. Like, that's your response? How about the guy shouldn't have, driven across the country to go and commit such a heinous act? How about that? How about we just say that instead? But we're gonna have people that are like, oh, he was pardoned under Trump, or asylum. He was put under asylum by Trump. Yeah, well, if you actually follow into the truth of everything so far, we still don't even know if he was even supposed to be here. We don't know if he definitely triggered Trig. We don't even know if he got the waivers. We have no idea. And we won't know for a while. But he is getting charged for first degree unaliving. And thank you, Kenneth Butler, for following. And also, he's being looked at for the unaliving penalty. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping for it. We'll see. Now, a couple of the things, which there's still some more things I wanted to get into as well, which is some YouTube stuff that I've come across and some interesting news that have come up, especially in according to the burn bags that had come up from the FBI. Those are some of the other ones that I want to look into. And right now it looks like we are getting more and more issues regarding Afghan nationalists. There's another thing that happened not too long ago, actually, of a police officer who pulled over an Afghan nationalist, and he had opened fire on the officer and his partners, his colleagues, which was in Virginia. Interesting how everything's happening in Virginia. The next things that I want to talk about is like the timeline of how much the Democrats have continuously gone after Donald Trump to try to put some dirt on him. But now that more and more time that's going on with the what is it called? With the Epstein files, that even CNN's starting to say, like, we're not seeing anything. So we'll get into all that, but first I want to get into a couple of videos that I've come across on Twitter, and we'll start it off with that. All right, so let me go ahead and just get this, boom, and boom. Oh, no, not that one. Not that one. This one. And we'll get this one. Oh, no, that's the wrong one again. Me professional. There we go, boom. Okay. So let's go ahead and pause this. I need to get a more gradual way of doing that. Okay, so this is what I came across first. Well, as soon as I opened up my Twitter, I was like, first thing I did was open it up, and I saw this going on. This is from some individual named Vivid Prowess. I can't wait for Donald Trump to arrest these effers once and for all. And let's move this here. Okay. The Free Palestine movement is the most anti-American movement in history. This is true. It's very much anti-American. Very much so anti-American. And seeing this is just absolutely ridiculous.
Burn it down! Burn it down! You guys are the enemy. Don't burn the fuck. I don't care what you say. Don't burn the American flag. Fuck yeah, baby.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! The white children in Gaza are being murdered. The people responsible are having a fucking party in this fucking city. This is what we think of your fucking rag. This is what we think of your fucking rag. The only acceptable American flag is one that is burned and charred.
What about global warming? This isn't good at all.
Hey, for any American citizen confused, I want you to reflect back in the last 5 years.
Everybody has to ask, but I should clear out.
If you're fucking older than 16, then you remember 2008. You remember every fucking crisis in the last 20 years. Where the fucking boot-licking motherfuckers protecting them, the full...
Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Who doesn't have a job? Him. Well, he's press. Her. Him. Her. And basically anybody with a mask. This guy too. Out here protesting free Palestine, but doesn't do a damn thing to help free Palestine. Free Palestine. How about when we had the ceasefire agreement and tried to actually come to a resolution on everything? This is ridiculous. But you know, these same people are really wanting to defend people like this. You know, Muslims destroy technological devices because Allah does not want distractions. Seems civilized. Yeah. Yes, artist, I'm a Kirk supporter. Yeah, it's funny. They sit back and imagine they're helping. It's much more than that. Most of them are bums. How about this? Let's call people because they're not all like that. There's people, and then there's also people who are absolutely deplorable. And if you get in their way, they will make sure that you submit. Because if not, I mean, well, why is things like this happening? Just in the middle of the street. Where do you think this is? I can tell you. 5 a.m. Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York, 5 a.m. Call to prayer. They're trying to assert the religious dominance over you, claim your country, and turn it into Sharia law. This is something that continuously goes on. If they were praying to a Christian God, here's my question to you. Do Christians line up in the middle of the street to pray and block up traffic? Put their shoes on the middle of the crosswalk? This is a crosswalk. This is a crosswalk. One lane is completely taken up. Do you see Christians doing that? I'm answering your question. Because first of all, I don't care about who they pray to. I don't care about that. I care about when it disrupts the flow of modern America. Or we have other people who block up full freeways like this. This is, I believe, in response to ICE. Alameda Street, this is in LA. Yep, no ICE. So if a group of Christians were in the street praying, you would want them arrested? Tell me when Christians are doing that, and then I'll tell you. You can't. You can't. You have people giving allegiance. You have people giving allegiance to another country that they left. And okay, how about this? All these people came over here correctly. You know what? What's funny about that? If they did, they had given themselves had to give this, which is the naturalization oath of allegiance to the United States of America. You want to know what it says? American citizens are being kidnapped? No, they're not. Stop. No, they're not. They're people are being deported to their country of origin.
I'm going to tell you right now, she's already deflecting.
Yeah, you're already deflecting. I'd like stop. Anyways, continue on. People that wave another nation's flag in America and is screaming for how proud they are of their country that they left because it was quote unquote hard and they wanted a easier life and benefits from the American culture. Well, this is an oath that people who are naturalized, or not naturalized, but getting their citizenship, what they have to read. I hereby declare, here I'll make it bigger. I hereby declare an oath that I absolutely entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of what country? Not Mexico, not Afghanistan, not Iran, not Brazil, not Argentina, Venezuela, Cuba, the United States of America. America. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States, when required by the law, that I perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States, when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. With a capital G, mind you. Not Allah, not Buddha. You have the freedom of religion. But so help me God is an American thing. That is a Christian thing. Moving on. Here's something else that's very interesting to me. Yeah, once again, all these people. You hate America so much. Why are you here? This fucking guy over here. This fucking guy is on stilts. He was wanting to be tall, but because he can't, he had to get some extra legs. God damn. We got Super Latino over here. He got the Captain America Superman flag 9000, except he's the Timu version down in Mexico. My God. But yeah, we're supposed to feel sorry for these people that they left their country of origin, but they don't care about anything here in America. They want you to kneel down and give them sympathy. And then it's always the white folk. They're like, oh, the Latinos, they do really hard work for us. Are you gonna pick those strawberries? Are you gonna build the houses? Oh, so you want cheap labor? Okay. Hello, Democrats, showing your true flavors of slavery. Jesus Christ. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, guys? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with me on this. This is just absolutely asinine. So you disagree with the founders dumping tea in the harbor too, right? You're moving the goalpost from like 200 and something years ago. So what does that have to do with now? What does that have to do with now? Seriously? My God. I like lemonade. Oh man, yeah. Imagine if we just tossed out all the lemons. Look, your point is mute. It is just a moot point. We should do the tea. Well, that was different. That was different. You understand that, right? That was completely different because we were fighting a monarchy. We were fighting a kingdom, so we didn't have to pay this absurd tax for tea.
Those kings that we don't want.
Those kings that we don't want? Yeah. That's a little different. And then we fought and we won, and now you have the freedoms you have. You're welcome. Moving on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look. What's on fire right here? The American flag. These people want to support Palestine so bad, but they won't even fucking go over there because they're not actually wanting to support any of these people at all. They just want your sympathy.
Emotional damage.
They don't give a shit. None of these people care. You think Greta Thunberg actually cared about Palestine, but she went over there with her little boats and said, "Hey, we're here to help you. We're here to help you." Guess what was on those boats? No supplies. They said they had supplies. They ain't got shit. Ridiculous. Are you fucking kidding me? Is this where we're at today, America? Is this where we're at? Look at this. Free Palestine. Man, y'all need to free yourselves from EBT. Get yourself a real job. Liberate yourself a little bit. Get off the government's tit. All right. Listen to this. This goes in regards to the whole situation with the OAW. And if you don't know what that is the Operation Allies Welcome. And guess what? A lot of those allies, well, turns out some of them weren't really friendly. Because why? What ended up happening? Well, in Virginia earlier this year, an Afghan national who apparently had helped out, well, he ended up taking out his pew-pew and go right into a popo. And what happened to that popo? Well, he ended up going and retaliating, went. And it was over for that man. Why? Well, let's just say this. He wasn't properly vetted. And you can't tell me that this person, all these people, Lock and Wall, Ramen Noodle, Lock and Wall, you can't tell me that Ramanula, he was properly vetted. You can't. In fact, I can't even tell you he was or wasn't. You want to know why? Because we don't have all the information on it. Just like this other individual who decided that, hey, I'm going to go on TikTok Live and say, I'm going to bring a car with a boom boom and I'm going to go straight down to Fort Worth, Texas and choose a target and say, goodbye. Allahu Akbar. Híjole pues. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then we got Miss Genius here.
There are, of course, concerns among lawmakers, experts who've tracked this. They're saying previous arrivals of large numbers of refugees from different parts.
I just saw a comment. Is Trump's border policy failing? No.
Seriously, that's literally the most asinine.
That is the most ridiculous thing I could have ever read. In fact, because I read it, everybody here is now dumber for have heard me say it. Donald Trump's policy for border patrol. No, my friend. No, 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 no. It's actually doing quite the opposite. It is doing great. And I'm proud of it. Proud of American, absolutely. Super, super happy. And if you thought otherwise, well, you better start really paying attention. Now, this.
Parts of the world, inevitably there may be a handful, small handful, who are eventually deemed a security risk of some kind.
Trump's policy works and he wants bad guys coming in? Where are you getting your information, my friend? Are you talking about because he was granted asylum? You understand why he was granted asylum? Because none of the red flags that would trigger TRIG, that's terrorist-related inadmissibility grounds. Because he didn't trigger TRIG based off of his background with the CIA and the Zero Unit, well, that kind of didn't trigger anything. Because they didn't have all the information. They didn't have the proper vetting. You want to know how long it took for people to get vetted and how long it's supposed to take for people to get vetted to come into the country? It took days back whenever they did this at Operation Allies Welcome. You want to know how long it's supposed to take? Up to 2 years. So tell me how they got over 100,000 people's information processed like that, because they got to go through every single government agency to do cross-referencing and checking and have in-person interviews with every single person and do it twice, actually 3 times, just to ensure that their story matches. Because if somebody comes in and says, well, the Taliban came in and they took my wife and kids, and then they go to the next one, it's like, oh, they took my parents. Wait, hold on a second. You just said wife and kids the first time. What about, you didn't say nothing about your parents. Red flag, gone. They didn't have proper vetting, so the border policy does not work under the... Oh, boy. Does anybody want to tell him?
I'm literally like.
Does anybody want to tell him?
Dumbfounded by the lack of knowledge.
Does anybody want...
Kyle has.
Because somebody tell this man, this poor man, somebody get him a drink. You want to know whose policy was under whenever this happened under Operation Allies Welcome? You want to know who it was? Hold on. I got you. Hold on. I got you. I'll just pull up the picture. I'll show you. I'll give you a direct image. It was this. It was this guy. Right there. Right here. Yep. You see that? That's Joe Biden. That's who did it. 2021. Whose border policy was that? Yeah. Okay. Continue. Moving on.
What reassurances can you make about the screening process and the attempts to make sure that somebody like that doesn't make his or her way here?
I can absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States
Thank you, Michelle, for the
of
follow.
America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process.
There are
Yes, they've been under a clearly was on whatchamacallit, what is it named? Mayorkas vetting hearing. This is it right here.
You've testified several times already this morning that you have, I'm going to quote you now, rigorous screening and vetting in place. Rigorous is your word for Afghan evacuees, refugees who have tens of thousands of them who have been brought to this country after the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that this administration conducted. Historically disastrous, I might add, in which 13 American service members were killed, including one from my home state. Hundreds, maybe thousands of American.
Yeah. You said January 6th terrorists, huh? You want to know who actually got unalived during that time? Was one of our own people on the right side, and was a veteran and got hit by a trigger-happy police officer. The other people who ended up being unalived died based off of their own health condition. So the terrorism that happened during that time, let me guess, you believe BBC's bit about Trump inciting violence, right? But then you probably missed the part where the CEO, BBC, had resigned because it was a lie. January 6th.
Left
Ridiculous.
behind the enemy, where they still remain. It's your testimony that rigorous screening and vetting has occurred. So I assume that you mean by that at least the standard refugee screening process is, if it's rigorous, it's at least the standard refugee screening process. Is that correct? Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's rigorous, right? They did their due diligence, right? Right. You know, it's kind of funny, actually, because let's see, I think it was this one. Let me double check this. Yeah, okay, here we go. So you want to know here. I'm gonna break this down for you. I'm gonna make this very, very easy to understand in regards to what's going on with this vetting process. Can everybody read this? Is this readable on your phones? Don't worry, Booba Kitty, I got you. All right. So whenever you're gonna look at this stuff, okay. It gets interesting. I need this to be solid so I can read the chat. All right. Lockenwall, the NG shooter, fought with U.S. troops for 10 years and worked with the CIA. Cool. Great. There's more to it than that. So what is the average time to vet someone to allow them into America? Well, here are the ways that it should have been. Number one, identification and initial screening before traveling to the USA. This is how vetting works, okay? Before boarding a US-bound flight, the individual must go through a few things, like full fingerprint set. He went through that. Facial recognition. He went through that. Photo and biographic intake. Yeah, he went through that. Of course, there were the database checks, right? FBI criminal databases, DOD ABIS, DHS ident, terrorist screening data set, Interpol watch list, and no-fly list. Now, here's the thing about the whole CIA backing. Everything that was done, their operations, mostly night raids, and doing interpretation, things like this, was a classified operation. Nothing was known. Plausible deniability. Even the CIA will deny anything that happened. Of course. Are we to really think that they'd be honest about their operations? Of course not. What is the point of intelligence if you're going to just be open about it? Right? We didn't hear anything about the JFK files until now, and it's been over 70 freaking years. But I digress. Continuing on. Field interviews are conducted by DHS, State Department, or intelligence personnel designed to confirm identity, background, and potential security concerns. If red flags appear, person is not allowed to board, sent to a third country site for additional review or denial. Now, this is how it's supposed to work. Arrival screening in the U.S., CBP and DHS. Once arriving at the U.S. airport, CBP does a second round of full fingerprints identity verification check for inconsistencies with previous screening, search travel documents, and story for conflict to ensure that the story lines up from the previous story that they told. Now, let's see what we got here. Why were the NG troops there in the first place? I don't know. You asked the CIA. Let's find out what answers you're going to get. I can tell you're going to come up with zilch because they're not going to tell you whether they know or they don't know. That's why this whole thing has to go through maybe a year process in court hearings. Here's to your point to give you the benefit. There's only one way this will go to being the full fault. Well, first, it is still the fault of Biden. However, it would be placed evenly, I'll give it that. Why? Because there's one thing that would have to happen. Once TRIG is triggered, once again, that's terrorism-related inadmissibility grounds. That statute, when that is triggered, that means anybody who has been a combatant that is not part of a U.S. government or has been involved in any type of crimes against civilians, which basically is if you're going against the rules of engagement, which obviously this has been a thing that's happened across the years since we've been involved with Afghanistan. There's so many things that's happened back then that people have gotten in trouble for, people have gotten court-martialed. We don't know the specifics of everything that has been involved with this individual in these raids, in these operations, because it's classified. Now, the only way is if they set up a waiver. There is a waiver that could be done. But let me ask you, if he came to America through this process, this vetting process that apparently everybody and their mother believes that this was plenty of time for a vetting process, when the vetting process takes about 6 to 24 months of completion, and that's just one section compared to a couple days. Let me ask you, how are you going to get all the information on 100,000 people in a couple days? On people that are outside the country, that aren't even American, how are you supposed to get that information? Lockemal was granted asylum under Trump. I understand that. I get the confusion. The confusion is when there's it's a zero, what is it called? It's a zero unit. A zero unit is basically a black ops unit, okay? This is compiled with a bunch of anti-Al-Qaeda, anti-ISIS militants from Afghanistan. These are Afghan nationalists. This zero unit, there was like 3 of them. They're classified as Tier 3 organizations. These Tier 3 organizations, you do not know all their operations, and if they had violated what would trigger TRIG, they would be barred from the country unless the waiver had been filed. Now, here's the question to you. Whenever these people came over through this vetting process, is that waiver automatic or manual? And how does it happen? How do you waiver this? Do you know? Is it automatic? Like you just come in through the vetting process, oh, you're waived because you helped America. Or does it have to be filed? I'll tell you. It has to be filed manually. And it has to be done properly. But the biggest issue is during the Biden administration, all of these people that came through, not all of them were finished through the vetting process, and they have a backlog that they're still checking through. And it takes years for this. Imagine if it takes a year or 2 for one person to get done. Do you really honestly, with your own heart and soul, believe that they were able to process 100,000 people within a couple days? This has been the question and debate for years now. And you're going to tell me that, oh, it's all hickory dickory dory. Well, let me tell you that it is definitely not hickory dickory dory.